So what we're going to do is um, work on the scene or the location in the story um, where we arrive in Vancouver Island in the deep sea and are going to be on a diplomatic mission to communicate with the sperm whale civilization. So here are the places we've been so far in the story. You start in Carla, and you get a chai tea, and then you get summoned to the space elevator because you've been selected via sortition to belong in the planetary senate. Spoiler alert, if you want to just play this game and not know what happens, then you should stop. But then you get kidnapped by these rebels here, who are like super anti this thing. Oh, sounds like our whale song has just finished generating, so we'll check that out in a second. But then one of the things that you need to do is go to Vancouver Island as a senator after you've been abducted and then you're released. You need to go back and weigh in as the diplomat on duty here. So you have to be the one that makes the calls in this like tense negotiation with the whale civilization. Probably makes no sense if you haven't heard me like talk about this story at all yet. But basically, this is just a day in the life of a post-scarcity kind of dark utopia, is what I've been calling it. Protopia is what some people call it too. It's not normative. I'm not saying this is how the world should be, but it's just a weird, interesting thing to explore. So this is the pod that will take you down into the water. I'm gonna write the scene after I've like finished making all of the images. But this is your attaché. His whole job is to kind of like ferry you through the process. I'll give some more emotion to his face. I think he might be mad that it took you so long to get here. But so this is like something that helps him decode the percussive clicks of the whales more effectively. And this heart blood stem thing is like canon in the story. One of the mantles that is like the hives installs these so they can wire up to other sentients and talk to them. Okay, so you basically descend into water, and the first thing, this is the oxygen garden. This is like the first sign of the superstructure of the whale civilization underwater. So these are like these long plates of organic material that produce oxygenated water as water passes through them. And so there are these kind of like sleeping beds for the whales where it reduces the overall time that they need to surface. So they can like just come up and hang out here without getting to the surface if they're doing long work. But basically, it's just like the first indication you make, like, holy shit, this is all like quantized, perfectly like organized grid. Like we're dealing with a large scale civilization here, you know. You may have heard that click just now. This is the next scene. I might like paste this out so the click arrives like one story beat later when you push this button and more text shows up. But so this is like a giant bugle used to amplify the click. So sperm whales communicate via like a series of clicks, right? And it's like straight up language. I mean, there's, you know, people have like talked to whales using clicking sounds too and stuff. It is a language, but this is tethered to the ocean floor, and it's this floating giant amplifier, such that like if your whale friend is in Japan and you are off the coast of Oregon, like you can hear what they're saying more easily, is the idea. Obviously, this is hand wavy science fiction, but I did try to like learn about whales and like tell the story that way. But anyway, you get this click, and it kind of pings the nearby symbiotic organism that the sperm whales have co-opted, which are the local octopus. So this is our visualizer, right? So it notices the click, it registers the click, and then that's a trigger for this tank to our right to begin filling up. And this octopus with a harness on it ends up in there manipulating these dials. And basically, so the octopuses are a kind of servile class to the uplifted sperm whales. And so they do their bidding and they wear those harnesses and they're kind of controlled by the sperm whales. And you may hear here another sort of clicky drone song. So essentially, now that the octopus is manipulating those dials, we're able to decode the language, and that's why you see this hologram. We're actually being directed here to this circle, which is where there's no. It's like a soundproof room where diplomatic proceedings can take place. So then you make it to the floor, and you see that the octopuses are the servants of the whales. They're actually farming these pressure vents on behalf of the whale populations. The whales are actually able to sculpt the ocean floor via percussive blasts. Which I should probably like write up more about this research that I did. It was very, very interesting. But different like gas vents in the ocean floor, like different microorganisms begin developing. It leads to biosphere kind of showing up around there. And then eventually fish start eating the stuff. The octopuses are the ones tending to it. They have the fine motor control that the whales don't. But then this becomes fish food. Fish end up hanging around here, and then the whales come and eat the fish, and that's kind of their agriculture. So we see that, and part of here in like the story beat is like we're realizing, like, is it okay what the whales are doing to these octopuses? They've kind of colonized them. The octopuses are under mind control somehow. That'll come up later. Okay, so now we're about to get to the safe room where we meet the whale, but this is what I've been calling the resonance museum. So like it's almost like writing. This is like a book for an uplifted sperm whale. It's like this tunnel where if you make a noise, the architecture of these tunnels is such that it manipulates that sound as it flows through water, so that it creates this long sound, this long like song, and the song tells a story. So we're gonna like learn basically the attaché is like you've been selected via sortition to be the senator to do this like tense negotiation. We need to get you debriefed, and so we're going to ride through this so you can hear the story the whales are telling about how they were uplifted. So he kind of like touches base with the octopus, and the octopus is going to do the storytelling for us. And then we enter the resonance museum, and our pod is going to make like a little clicking noise, and it's going to travel through this like gnarly tunnel and make this music basically. And so you can see we've got this like visualizer type element thing working, kind of janky, but basically the story is that spiral there is sort of the universe's like symbol of the ASI that is running the world. So there's like a super intelligence that is like the executor of what randomly selected humans in the government like choose to do, right? So it's like super intelligence is the executive branch, and then like sortition is the legislative branch. Basically, it's like how I'm starting to figure this story out to mean, right? But like this thing, so the ASI. It's like we just put a box in the ocean basically, and it knew how to speak sperm whale, and then all the whales could talk to it, and that's all we did. And we were no longer humans. We're no longer involved. But they kept talking, and then they like we don't know how it happened, but they achieved like gnarly intelligence uplift, right? So then what happens after that is they pass this on. And so the sperm whales begin using this much more elaborate language of percussive chirping and clicking, which is already existing sperm whale language. And they began using it to manipulate octopuses and to kind of like persuade octopuses to do their bidding for them. And so the whale's telling the story, right? I might make like whale language that tells the story. And the whale in their teleology, right? This is their great historical myth. They say, now we are, these like great new apex, like at the top of the great chain of being, and then the octopuses are children, and then we're going to spread this sentience all across the ocean as masters of the ocean or whatever. Like it's like this ennobling myth, right? And that line at the bottom there is the undersea cables of the internet, which they have a very deep relationship to, because that is what transported the original ASI that would talk to them, right? So that's really important in their world. And one of the things that we're going to note here, the attaché will be sure to tell you, is like their myths about themselves are becoming more almost imperial here. So we're in this like Thucydides situation with the whales, right? They're on the up and we're on the down. And so it's like a little scary, right? We're like, oh, this is the story they're telling about themselves. This like imperial, like I think the word is revanchist. Or they want to glory, right? They're trying to come back and assert their top position. But anyway, he comes back and he's like, that was a little heavy. You should be careful, actually. But anyway, we're entering the soundproof room now. So basically, this is like the skiff of whale civilization, right? This is the soundproof room where no information gets in or out, because like any other time you talk, like anyone could hear you because that sound is transporting across the ocean. So now they've got these special diplomatic soundproof rooms that you can go into, to have private conversations. So that's where the diplomats go, right? So we go into this, and then finally, after all that buildup, hopefully it feels cool. You finally see the whale shows up, right? I tried putting like tiara, like barnacle crown on her or whatever as the queen. They all ended up looking kind of janky, so it's just a raw whale. But she swims in, and then where this goes from here is like this tense negotiation involving like a lot of different parts of the story and stuff. But this is like the lead up to the climax. Like it's like this happens, and it's going to be like a big event, and then you get like a little cool off time, and then the plot thickens some more, and then everything sort of goes crazy for the climax and the finale of the story. So for context, I've been working on this since like May, spending all my nights and weekends on it. So almost done with like blocking out this first draft. It's been relatively involved. You can see, this is like all of the scenes and stuff. So we go all around the world, as I showed you in the world map earlier. But yeah, I think this is the end. Okay, so now that you've gotten the walkthrough of this location, I can show you let me see if it was here. Okay. I can show you the terminal. Okay, so it looks like you can see this okay. To get this out of the way is probably annoying, huh? Okay, so make it small. Okay, so this is Herder with mainly Pi, the agentic harness. And this has just become like my little visual novel studio. I really love this. But we've got two different things going on right now. I guess I'm just gonna like work now, and you can kind of figure it out as I go, I guess. So let's see what happened. Oh yeah, so it did play this. So this is the sound that I want to play in the Resonance Museum that I was talking about. Open the audio in the browser and then play it for me. Should auto open. We're running DeepSeek v4. Okay, so this song is actually supposed to be what plays when we go in here. So it's going to be like this scene, I think. And then when this thing visualizes, it's the song of this thing, basically. It's the song of the whale communicating to the ASI. So let's hear how it came out. Just a drone. Sounds like nothing too interesting happened there. So let's let the whale himself know. DeepSeek. Okay. So the issue with this pitch is that there's nothing really musical or interesting happening. It's just a single drone noise. And we were looking for that like weird conversation kind of energy in this first scene. Oh, wait. I was totally wrong. This is just doing a proof of concept. The model is actually being smarter than I thought it was. The proof of concept sounds good. It's just a very simple drone sound, but it seems like that was not your intention to do more elaborate stuff than that. So I think you're ready to create the conversation piece next. Make it a little shorter than this one. Maybe like 5 to 6 seconds would be a good thing to aim for. We don't want to make the user wait too long between the hologram fading in after we receive the song. Like put all together, it's a long wait. Okay, so that seems to be going well. Let's go over here. The image, as you can see, is janky. It doesn't look like what it should look like, which is, inside of this pod, right? It should be completely based off of the whale here. So something weird happened, and let's look into it. Nano Banana is great with references, so I'm suspicious of your ability to attach the image as a reference document. This almost certainly looks like an image generated purely via text with no attachment. So what we need is to attach the plate that you can see in the image I'll share with you, attach that actual image file as a reference when you send the generation to foul.ai, and say how it should be different from the current image, which is only the dashboard graphic we've discussed and literally nothing else. Oh, Lord have mercy. We'll remove that, but yeah, that was terrible noise. Gonna have to be careful doing this to make sure I don't get jump scared anymore. Okay. And then I'm just going to share with the model this image so it can compare to whatever it has and know what we're working with. I'm going to say, though, don't upload the actual clipboard image I just shared. Look up the actual plate and that actual image and attach that one. Okay. All right, so it tried. This is going to be a huge mess, huh? Turn that garbage down. Well, it's kind of cool that it sort of like was wavy, you know, like it's trying to do something. Something went super wrong here. It really just sounds like static white noise that is like painful to listen to. So something went wrong. Try just making a few sort of lyrical sounding drone sounds that are in keeping with the sort of scientific mock-up we made of the chamber, and try this in a totally different direction. Nana Banana is great at references on the edit endpoint, which I never called. Okay, thank you, DeepSeek. You seem to know what to do next. Oh, re-rolled a random phase on every single sample. A classic white noise bug. Perfect! Hey, came out great. While we're doing this, though, look at the Claude.md file that walks us through the setup of workspace panes, and then also look up how Pi works. Sounds a lot better. And figure out in Pi how to make it so that the top right panes where we render newly generated images only show up in the workspace in which we are generating those images. There's a chance that the Claude.md file may be ambiguous and imply that any time an image generation endpoint is hit, every workspace is expected to have its image updated, which is not the case. So if you made that programmatic in that way, then undo that and make it so that only in workspaces where we're like running those scripts that are generating the image does that top right pane get updated. Don't change anything yet. Just investigate and tell me what you find. I'm absolutely loving DeepSeek V4 Flash right now, by the way. It is so good. Okay. Okay, it looks like everybody did what they were supposed to do. So the hologram shape, it seems to also notice that this is kind of weird. And it's weird, right? Because like the diver is inside of this. It's like the person has been encased in the sphere, which is not what we wanted to communicate. Although what we're doing is very hand wavy here, right? The layer is describing the relationship precisely. The sphere is empty and the small diver floats separately. Run the holo clarity edit now. Same ref, same endpoint, just retargeted to make the sphere empty and the driver float at the mouth alongside. Um, let's actually take this in a simpler direction. So let's put like a bunch of roses around the ring of the dashboard in hologram form, as holograms, to kind of represent the flowery proceeding. Wait, actually, that's wrong. There are no roses in Whale World. So let's brainstorm a little bit. I think we can make this simpler. Communicating like emptiness and diver, it doesn't really hit as like attempted communication. We don't need to try so hard. Let's just make it communicate like a diplomatic greeting. But let's sprinkle in some sperm whale culture into it, right? So like I'm picturing something like many fish of the kind of fish that sperm whales like to eat, perhaps, could be laid in a ring around the dashboard. The diver is a good idea. I think representing the human as a diver, that can be like the universal avatar of human for the rest of the time. And then maybe just like uh, show them inside of like a big whale made cavern that is beautiful, with an open top so it doesn't look like they're trapped in a bird cage, with a bunch of fish surrounding them. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Something like, um, may you have 30 cows in your pasture and a masculine firstborn child or something. You know what I mean? Some kind of like greeting like that. We're just going to fix this little bug. If you could see, we're talking music here, and this image just auto updates, which is, not a big deal, but not ideal either. Okay, so seems like the fix already exists. It just was not being pointed at. In which case, yes, I support you implementing this. Okay. Yes. And so now it's time to investigate the music. Okay. So this is the sound of the whale meeting the ASI. Let's see how it sounds. I mean, it's not bad. I wouldn't, if I was playing the game, I wouldn't be like brought out of it by hearing that. But we could definitely do better. So it's not bad, but I'd like to try some new things. Let's create one cluster of notes, like, 2 to 3 notes in rapid succession, with a certain profile of attack and decay in a certain range of pitches that represent the whale, and then another cluster with a completely different set of categories that represent the ASI. And the whale cluster plays in rapid succession together underneath of a sort of drone, and then there's a light pause, and then the ASI cluster plays, another pause, and then the whale cluster plays. Try something like that. So it feels like a conversation. That's what we asked for originally. Okay. There's always me learning an instrument and playing this, which will be really fun if I get around to doing it. But programmatically, watching this get created as a sound file is also magical and fascinating. So can't lose in this embarrassment of riches, in this blurst of times we live in. Okay, so looks like this is fixing itself. Do I need to reload Pi in both workspaces? Okay. That's good. Make it a little bit shorter and make the lower tone a little lower and more noticeably different. Surprised at how quickly it makes those. Each workspace's plate viewer process needs to be reloaded. Well, that's strange, huh? Okay, already open. Just restart the top right pane. The whole music thing is kind of weird. I don't know if that's working or not. Music is different than clicking. Clicking is easier. Maybe that's a sign. Can we make it sound a little more clicky, actually? Ultimately, if the whales communicate via clicks, then they will want to be communicated to via clicks mostly, right? So I like some of this sound tone play, and you should keep it. Keep this at a 5 or 6 second long clip, but incorporate more of the clicks and the click language from the whale lab experiments we ran earlier. Okay, so anyway, this was doing well, right? Their wealth isn't cattle and sons, it's squid, and the waters thick with them. Yeah, we should have played more with the squid ideas, but yeah. Yeah, may your currents run thick with squid sounds great. Open top cavern, like almost like a bowl that's clearly sculpted. And it's sculpted almost like the bowl could be like this sort of container of squid and fish, right? Yeah, I love that actually. Maybe if it doesn't feel too noisy and complicated, you could also put those sheets of like the oxygen garden ringing around the top of the cavern. Could make it a little more beautiful. Squid and fish seem fine though. And yeah, make sure that you keep it on the dashboard. And keep it roughly looking like this hologram. Although one thing I noticed about the hologram is it's a little too small, so it's not as legible. Make it so that it's bigger and easier to read at an immediate glance. Okay, so now we are reading the Coda Atelier system for the whale songs. So we'll check back on that later. Okay, so just fixing a bug over here. Don't mind me. The pane is a Python process. Rerun it with, okay, tab scoped file. What the hell? I'll just tell DeepSeek to do that. Sounds good. Okay. Wish we had that like /btw command. Actually, we don't need it. Oh, see, yeah, DeepSeek offered. You just have to read these walls of text to hear what the thing wants you to do. Yes, use the herder skill to restart the top right panes in both of the other Helicon workspaces. All right. Well, this is fun. Very Mario. Doesn't seem like this is working great. It's a really good time, but I think we need to go back to the drawing board and just like think about it more. Yeah, see, we actually like read some of the SETI literature here and tried to like map it realistically. So it's actually really, really interesting. But it doesn't seem quite right. I think the glassy tones are what is creating the trouble here. They sound like Mario coins, like cheap video game music. I think it might be better if we create low, slow, weird droning music that just doesn't try to express quite so much. And over those, then there should be variety of pitches. It should feel kind of like ambient, weird music, Aphex Twin type, just like a sequence of differently pitched drones across the 5 seconds, and then overlaid on top of that a click sequence that you think can communicate something resembling I'm having a conversation with an other right now. Simpler. Give that a try. Okay. Meanwhile, the holographic comms are feeling excellent. And the good news is, like, the Resonance Museum is a song, which is hard to wrap your mind around. But once we're having this conversation, it's just clicks. And then they're translated via several people, and the hologram appears. And we already have sick animations for the hologram appearing on the dashboard. So all of this will go quite smooth for the rest of this rather long dialogical scene. Just going to see if chat is up to anything. Oh, cool. What up, Charlie? Thanks for coming, man. Oh, okay. I need to maybe like wire up the ability for like my audio output to play sound. I wish you could hear this absolute insanity taking place right now. That was like a weird drone noise with a bunch of weird clicks to it too. I'll make a note of that though. We'll figure out how to do it. Okay, there we go. All right. There is your blessing. May you be surrounded by fish, and I guess there are squids there. That is not bad at all. That is going quite well. Okay, so I think it's eclipsing the whale's mouth too much. And the dome is certainly unclear. So simple is better. Dumb it down and keep it simple. This is great, but there are a few small edits to make from here. So for one, the hologram is too large and it eclipses the whale's mouth. So let's shrink that down so that the whale is always visible, and make a note in our prompting document for this location that we should never obscure the whale when we're making these holograms. Then let's remove the cavern and let's just have a diver surrounded by squid. It's harder to see the squid. They look more like it's all fish here. So let's keep it simple. Just a floating diver surrounded by a circle of both squid and fish, and lower and still basically the same size, but just lower and obviously coming off of the dashboard such that there's no overlay of the whale's mouth. Otherwise, this is great. Okay, that one's working. And this, I think I'm being a perfectionist about. So I'm going to say, okay, lock that in and play it in the Resonance Museum scene. And then I want you to time it when, like, with the story.inc triggers, such that the drone plays, and in the last like 2 seconds of the drone playing, we begin the unveiling of the hologram. Actually, I'm going to go back. It's kind of funny how speech to text works, right? Like, if you want to backspace, you have to like abort the entire thing if you don't stop it enough. Okay. So I think you should lock this in now, actually, and it's pretty good. So when there should be one beat. I want you to change the structure of the Resonance Museum like plate at that scene, such that we arrive there and we see the new image, After entering the mouth of the location, we're inside of that tunnel for the first time, right? And I forget. I think the attaché like reaches to the octopus and comes back. But once we're expecting to, hear the thing, let's take one beat where there's one moment of dialogue, and we click that button. And then when we click the button, more dialogue appears underneath. But it's the trigger for both the drone and clicking sound to play and for the hologram to assemble itself. So give that a try just on that first Resonance Museum, and then open it in the browser when you're done. Okay, pop over here. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, see, that's what we're talking about. That looks good. So this is excellent. You can lock it in and then go back to the Resonance Museum code and look at the way that you assembled the hologram slowly from a blur through those particle effects that made it appear from out of the dashboard, and replicate that here. So we have one beat where the whale appears, and then we click the proceed button on the dialog pane, and then this animation is triggered within the same dialog pane. Make that happen. Okay, we are cooking. That feels pretty good. And it looks like this works now. Hey, that's good too. The bug was fixed. Splendid. And I'm so glad you came. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that, Charlie. Yeah. No, this is all like the most insane shit about all of this is it's not that far away. Yeah, if you look up SETI, like CETI, like Cetacean Extraterrestrial Intelligence, I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's the Talking to Whales organization. You could swim out here and fucking have a conversation with these guys right now. Like there's like a sort of standard like introduction click sequence that, like, I was watching this video this morning of a scuba diver that just like had a camera rig and like hit the Morse code sequence correctly near the sperm whale. The sperm whale doubled back. It was about to leave. It came back around and then like pointed its like echolocating sonar equipment directly at the person so it could like read inside of his fucking organs, and like wanted to suss him out and see who he was, and then decided he was a friend. Like it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's like talking to an alien. Truly beautiful. Yeah. Like this whole story has been very much about like like non-human sentience. And it's one of the things that I think about a lot with AI, and I think is like in many ways like the sort of underappreciated philosophical kernel of AI is, even if the models are never truly sentient, even if we are sort of hallucinating these sort of psychotic reactions to a talking computer program, the ways that it hopefully can cause us to reflect on the sentience of other things, I think is very powerful. At least as a psychosis sufferer, I feel that way. Right? It's made me think and reflect more about other animals and so on. I'm reading Joe Carl Smith's essays, "Otherness and Control in the Age of AGI." It's a collection of these philosophy blogs, and they're quite good. And a lot of it is about that. It's like octopuses and grizzly man and all of these different like examples of interacting with other things for whom it is like something to be them, and how like constantly thinking about AGI starts to sort of blur those edges and make you see all of that stuff very differently. Okay, we're compiling our story syntax. Oh, it's opening it for me. Okay. It might have just booted up the dev server, so hopefully, because DeepSeek is not great at computer use. Okay, let's see what happens. So here we are at the farm, and then we go into the resonance chamber. Octopus says go. Okay, whatever happened, that did not work, but I think it's still working. So okay, we got some weird stuff going on here. Ta-ta. Okay, whatever. We'll worry about that in a moment. Okay. So this is wiring the hologram into the whale conversation. This is putting the song into the resonance chamber. Just like open the resonance museum. If you've never used this multiplexer herder before, HERDR, it is so cool. And one of the ways that it's cool is that it comes pre-equipped with a skill file that when you're running your agent, the agent immediately loads. And then you say like, open the pane to the right, or like type in the following command in like another workspace, and it'll just like play with your windows however you want it to. And it's fucking so magical. It's like I discovering this and the pi.dev agent harness along with like DeepSeek v4 Flash coming out, which we've spent 15 cents in this session so far and 14 cents in this one. It's making me feel like it's Christmas 2025 again, you know. And if you know, you know. Okay, so so there appear to be some errors here. So we restructured whale archive first addressed into the interactive shape you described. We wired the audio. We confirmed birth the not and the sound effects key are recompiled, but we're blocked on the preview. Okay, so I think it just broke because it was trying to use the computer, and while we were doing it, it reloaded. So let's test that assumption. Sometimes you have to start over here. This is all behind a blue sky auth for now, by the way, which I think I'm going to get rid of. But I actually wanted to make this all personalized to a person's like social media posts for a while. However, since scope creep has hit me very hard, I think I'm going to let that idea go and save it for the next one. Okay. Fingers crossed. Doesn't look like that worked because the song should be timed with that fading in. Okay, so the song just played here, but it looks like it's just like staggered out of order, so that's not so bad. So they happened out of order. First, the animation revealing the hologram played, and then after we pushed the button, the song with the clicking played. But what I wanted was for both of them to play at the same time. So you need to move the clicking song backward in time to the same time when the animation reveal plays. Probably be good for a context refresh soon too. Oh, that looks so good. I'm loving that. If any of you in the audience have played or watched people play the game Riven, I got obsessed with the game Riven after one of my group chat friends compared this visual novel to Myst, and he was like, "LOL, Joe is vibe coding Myst in his spare time," which is funny and true, right? I mean, that's not tooting my own horn. That's just like where we are with technology now. But I started watching playthroughs. Myst is fascinating, but Riven is another level. The world building in Riven is unreal. And there's a scene in which this fish that plays a big role in this incredible world they created swims up to you from this like viewing station. And I had already planned to have like a detailed whale interaction time before I saw that, and I was like, nothing new under the sun. Everybody wants to go talk to the magical sea animals. The collective unconscious is crying for it. So I can probably just go test this. Hopefully it doesn't auto reload while I'm doing it, because that can be annoying. But we want to see what the queen is up to. Hey, it looks like it works. That is so impressive. That was just completely one shot. I think Opus 5 did the first version of that, but DeepSeek clearly has a handle on it too. And yeah, I love how simple that communication is. And what's good about doing that is now each one after this can be equally simple. Okay. All right. Is that where are we? Okay, good. thing about calling the octopuses ceph, short for cephalopods. Okay. So now, in the story, you received the greeting, and then you should be able to send a diplomatic recognition in return. I think that's what I'm going to go for next. I just did, and it looks great. No notes. Okay, I want to brainstorm with you a little bit now. So the conceit here is that we will communicate to the whale via a series of clicks. Our pod is equipped with that, right? So it may just be making things too complicated to create dialogue options in the narrative pane that are like Morse code, essentially. Perhaps better would be to communicate via language, but then there's a way in which when we choose the dialogue option, it automatically plays the sound of our own clicks being sent to the whale. I think we should mock up that process as well, because that's essentially the entire loop of a given beat in this sequence. So let's create two placeholder options of dialogue once this hologram appears. One of them can be, flowery language. One of them can be brusque greeting, for instance. And then you can look at the pod conversation in the other workspace if you want to see more about how we're generating the clicking sequence. You can also look at the whale-lab endpoint in the dev server. That's probably the better source. And then generate, and don't try very hard. Keep it at 2 to 3 seconds per generation. Very simple sequence of clicks. Make them meaningfully different from each other, but both very simple. Make 2 sets of those wave files. And then that way we can wire both of them into those dialogue options. And when we click either one, it produces the clicking noise and advances us to the next scene. Actually, I don't want it to advance us to the next scene. Okay. Over here we go. Okay, this is done. So let's go test it. Start over. Beginning. Seep pastures. Is that? Yeah, resonance archive. Oh yeah, plays now. Love it. All right, we're cooking. Okay, you did a great job. Let's create the next 2 songs in parallel. And remember just to build up the complexity of them both. So the second one is more complex than the first, and the third one is the most of all. You can keep the click, the amount of clicks, the basic pattern there, basically the same, although vary the clicks so it sounds like different language. Mainly change the drones and the tones and how many drones are playing. So like more complex, more active ambient music under the clicks for 2 and 3. No idea what I'm doing here. Just purely winging it, making random fucking judgment calls. Life as the creative director, ladies and gentlemen. It sure is sweet. Okay, yeah, there's a real whale click system. Pretty awesome. Okay. So the bug was fixed. Let's see. I told myself I got NeoVim set up inside of this pane here so that while I was waiting for generations, I would go in and write it. But actually, that's too much multitasking. My whole plan is to generate all of the art first and block out all the scenes and then kind of write the story in more detail in my head. And then on the second pass, I'll go through here and write it all myself, one at a time. But it does look damn good. Big spoiler alert right here. Hoping to include the whales in the ending of the story. I've always loved world building, and I wanted to make a video game really bad when I was like 24 or so, and I didn't know how to program. And so a buddy of mine was a coder, and then I was like making weird pixel art and stuff, but didn't really know what I was doing. But anyway, I always had this dream in the game that there would be these sentient beluga whales actually that would summon these sort of like surface to air missiles from their foreheads and shoot them at the continents. And well, I'm living out my dreams now because I think I'm going to fire some missiles at people with these whales. I mean, they are clearly very powerful, right? I'm hoping to communicate this idea of like make it stop. If you can't hear both of these open. So this one is supposed to be the story of the squid and the squid and the whale. That's a Noah Baumbach movie. The story of the squid and the whale, not the actual squid and the whale movie, but the story of the three things: the ASI, the whale, and the squid, kind of being together as a great chain of being. Kind of sounds the same as the last one. Not super impressive. I'm gonna say good enough for government work, though. We got to get this first draft in. If we really want to do a good job, we can download some actual audio software and make something ourselves. Okay, so 2pod click replies. Oh, are these mine? No. Hold on, because I'm generating music for both of these, right? So these are totally good. Just lock them in place. I don't think that we opened them in this one. Both of these in the browser. Oh, thank you, Charlie. I really appreciate it. Okay, these are our dialogue options. And they sound great. Okay, hell yeah. This is going to be so fucking cool. Oh, I did not know about MDMA and octopuses. Oh, I'm going to have to look that up. We do include a little nod to Nick Camerata in I'll probably close out this stream after I share this, but when you're choosing, so your mantle is basically like your hive from the Ada Palmer novels from Terra Ignota, except that you can like choose your mantle once a week or once a month if you want to or whatever. Anyway, one of the mantles is called Potluck, and it's for people who just like are polyamorous basically. But this was my little joke about that was Molly with the strength of coffee. They're just like hang out sipping on the Nick Camerata Molly wine all day, which is if you know what I'm talking about, I got a big kick out of that. Okay, I wonder if we wired in the clicks. Looks like no. Okay, well it's 6:56. I had a good time. Charlie, if you're still here, thank you so much for coming. Really made my day. And this will be, here in perpetuity from now on. So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, did a tight little hour. Maybe I'll do this again. If you liked this and you were here, I think there's one more person in addition to Charlie. Feel free to let me know. All right. Thanks for coming by, y'all. Really appreciate it. And hope you have a great day.